Welcome everyone in this new video on Figma. Today we're going to look at the text tool, all its adjustable elements, and also introduce how to insert a first plugin that we use to arrange text along a path. We start by selecting the text tool from above or press T on the keyboard, and this crosshair will form. When creating a new text layer, two modes are possible, and Figma uses a different text resizing property depending on the approach. If we single-click on the drawing area, a layer is created with text resizing set to outer width. And in this way, the width of the text box grows as we add text. On the other hand, if we click and drag, a layer is created with the resizing set to fixed size. This allows us to insert longer strings of text and have them wrap to a new line. We can then manage the tool as usual from the panel on the right, where first we have the typeface. One of the great advantages of Figma is that we already have the Google fonts loaded. Underneath we have the weight, so bold, thin, light, etc. As you see here, by default we have Inter as a font, which is a very versatile font, and it has a lot of weights, and in italic version too. And next to weight, we also have the body, so the size of the text. So in this drop-down menu here as well, as you can see. Line height here allows you to control the vertical distance between lines of text in a paragraph. This can help improve the readability of text and is nothing more than the same thing as line spacing. A low line height can make text difficult to read, while one that is too high can make the text appear cluttered. Figma allows you to set either a fixed line height in pixel or a line height that is percentage of the font size. And we can see the percentage simply by doing so. So with the usual little arrow, we scroll down and see that auto as a percentage corresponds for Inter to 120.8%, but for all other fonts, it would be a different percentage, of course. The icon next to it, on the other hand, is letter spacing, which allows us to define the space between characters in a word, line, and paragraph, but is not to be confused with kerning, which refers to the process of adjusting the space between individual characters in a typeface. Paragraph spacing, next, allows you to control the distance between paragraphs, and this allows you to increase or decrease the white space around the text. These three icons, next, on the other hand, are the resizing properties that control how a text box shrinks or grows to fit its content. We have auto width, auto height, and fixed size. As we have already mentioned, when we simply click on drawing area to create a text box, Figma uses auto width, whereas if we click and drag, Figma will use fixed size. If we adjust the size of the box after it is created, Figma updates the resizing to fixed size. Let's quickly see what they mean specifically. With auto width, the width of the text box grows so that all of its content always fits within its borders. Figma will create new lines of text only when you use the return or enter key, so when we wrap. With automatic height, the text layer grows only in height to fit its content. Figma will then take the predetermined initial width as the final width, and then lines that extend beyond it will automatically wrap into a new line. With fixed size, on the other hand, both the width and the height of the text remain unchanged, regardless of the content of the layer. All additional text, therefore, will go outside the text box, but this makes alignment with other elements difficult, because the reference for alignment is the text box only. So it is recommended to use these settings only if we are sure that the text will fit perfectly with the set size. Let's keep these three icons here for a moment and see these other three next to it that correspond to vertical alignment, which determines the distribution of text within its selection rectangle. Vertical alignment aligns the text along the y-axis, so up on the top line, in the middle, or down at the bottom. Be aware, though, that you can only vertical align text in text layers with a fixed size. These three icons here instead are the horizontal alignment, which we see better though if we click on these three dots and this new panel opens up. The first item, resizing, we already analyzed, while the second one, alignment, that is horizontal alignment, therefore determines the distribution of the text within a selection rectangle along the x-axis. Left aligned text is commonly used for paragraphs, while centered aligned text is often used for shorter lines of text, such as headings. Right alignment is not common, it is used only in special cases, while justification aligns the first word in each line of text to the leftmost edge, and the last word to the rightmost edge. FIGMA evenly distances each word in a line of justified text, and unfortunately, as of yet, there is no hyphenation feature available that allows the text to be divided into syllables and make justification more cleaner with equal spaces between words. Highlights. At this point, we still find the decoration item, which is really nothing more than the ability to make the text crossed or underlined. Strike through adds a horizontal line in the middle of the text and is mostly used to indicate outdated or inaccurate information. This allows you to communicate its status without deleting or obscuring the original text. So we select a text and apply it, as you see. Underlining, on the other hand, adds an horizontal line along the text baseline and is used precisely to highlight some words or fragment of text or to indicate that it contains a link. We can also use the keyboard shortcut to apply it for Mac Option U, for Windows Ctrl U. Below, still we have the letter display. With the first icon, all letters in the selected words will become uppercase, while with the second, the opposite, all will become lowercase. The third transforms the first character of each word to uppercase, while the fourth is the transformation of the entire text to small caps. Uppercase characters usually have different proportion different to normal uppercase. Let's move on to see how to make lists. The elements of a list in FIGMA can be ordered or unordered in the form of a numbered or bullet list. To create a bullet list, we simply put an hyphen and it alone will turn into a bullet. Or from here, we can select a numbered list. So instead of bullets, I will have numbers. With list spacing, we change the space between one list item and another. So for example, we space them further apart. While with paragraph spacing, we increase the space between the line that introduces the list, which usually ends with the colon from the list itself that follows it. With the truncated text key, we can hide text that exceeds the selection rectangle, and ellipses, that's what the three subsection dots are called in technical jargon, is added to end of the text to indicate hidden excess text. Now let's move to the second item on this little panel from up here, details, and we see that the first two items are hanging quotes and hanging lists. By clicking the first one, the quotation marks will be moved one lever of text outside the bounding box to match the first letter following all the initial letters of all other rows. As you see here from this example above, the difference is that in one the quotation marks are inside the text box and instead here they are moved outside. The same happens with lists, so we can move the dots or numbers in each list item outside the selection rectangle. In this way, the text content is aligned with the bounding box. Paragraph indentation then moves the text in the first line to the right. You can apply paragraph indentation only to text that uses left alignment. A good rule of thumb is to avoid indentation greater than 4 times the font size. FIGMA represents paragraph indentation as a value in pixel. Maybe we write 50 and see how that works. The number section then includes all the properties or characteristics of numerical figures. The properties of this section depend on the font family used. Style options here include proportional figures and monospace figures. Proportional figures have variable spacing depending on the width of the character used, while monospatial figures, also known as tabular figures, have the same width regardless of the character used. The position entry allows the use of subscript or superscripts by staggering the position of numbers and characters. Subscript characters are positioned below the character line, while superscript are positioned above, and both have a smaller default size than the rest of the text. From here, you can create fraction from numbers. Just enter fraction and click here to turn it into fraction. From here on, we have an immense amount of font variations, letter forms, stylistic sets, horizontal spacing, and more, which I will leave you to explore on your own. In the last item here, variable, on the other hand, we have a tool for adjusting the weight of the characters, which then has a lot more freedom than the preset weights. And underneath, we have this other option, slant, with which we can give a slant and create a false italic other than the actual italic of the font we are using. Let's close this little panel, and as always, we know that we can give a fill and then also a stroke to our text, which should only be used in large text, and then all the other functions of effects and other things that we are now familiar. If we wanted to put instead an object or text along a vector stroke, what we need to do is to look for a plugin. We take the opportunity, in fact, to introduce this other icon here, which is resources, where we find three options: components, plugins, and widgets. The same ones we talked about in the first lesson, but we'll go over again in the next one. So let's create a very simple path with the pen tool, like this, for example, and then with the text tool, let's write something. Select these two elements together, and then on resources, let's look for the first one I found as the most appropriate plugin called ToPath, and press run. At this point, the plugin will be launched with allows us with this little panel that pops up to change the settings. First, we click on link, and we see that it will happen what we wanted. The text follows the path, and we notice right away that if we change the text from here, it also changes up here. Maybe we increase it in font and add some words. However, we see that there on the path, the text is not a wall. Each letter is a box by itself, and therefore it doesn't make sense to change it like here. But we use the little pen on the left, while the path is no longer editable once it is created. With vertical align, we can bring the text totally above or below the outline, or cross out with the outline itself, while with horizontal align, we can slightly change the distance between letters. With offset, we can simply move the text farther apart, while with these three symbols, we can automatically align the text right, left, or center. While with this reverse direction, we can mirror the text with respect to the curve, although it will no longer be readable in this way. Well, I will say that's it for today. We've seen several things. Thank you for watching so far. If you found the video interesting, please leave a like and a comment for any doubt or suggestion. Subscribe to the channel, and if you feel like supporting us, you can also join as a supporter to help us create always new content, and we will see you in the next video.